Oh my god, Mike is uploading. What the hell is going on? It's been like a week since we last had a video on his channel, and not only that, it also comes with an epic intro. And what the hell is this? Why are we inside a cockpit of an aircraft? A Focke 190, and not just any Focke 190, but a Japanese Focke 190 nonetheless. And why are we on Midway? Well, hello you sexy beasts, and welcome back to War Thunder. As you can see, we are back in sim mode, and the reason we are doing this video, well, do you really need a reason? I mean, yeah, it's my channel, I can upload whatever I want. Well, we have some new equipment, we have some news, and just general stuff that I want to talk about, with some relaxing or very stressful gameplay in the background, depending on how much we are burning at the moment. First things first, I have received some new equipment. Now, the last time I did a sim video, which was also our first ever sim video, I was showcasing the new Thrustmaster HOTAS that I received from Thrustmaster, of course. And one of the things I noted in that video was that it was really hard to actually look around, and that's a big disadvantage when you're trying to get into sim, simply because looking around is so incredibly important. You can't exactly fly like in RB, where you can simply hold C and look around with your mouse, since you kind of need your mouse to, oh well, your hands on your joystick to fly the aircraft itself, and you let go of that. The torque of the aircraft generally just dumps you right into the sea or into the ground. And some of you guys helped me out in the comment section of that video, suggesting various ways of doing stuff. One of the most popular ways, of course, for those of you who don't want to spend any money, was to use the mouse. So, completely ditch the throttle system that I have and use the left hand as mouse aim instead. There are just a couple of problems there. Once I did try that, it was really not that great for me personally. For once, the mouse I have is a right-handed mouse. It's not interchangeable. When you use it in your left hand, it just becomes really awkward. Not to mention that you cannot reach any of the buttons. Which, speaking of the buttons, is also very important, because whilst I do use it for throttle, and you don't use the throttle that much, I'm speaking about the HOTAS system here, I do have a lot of buttons here that I do use in combat and that I've gotten used to now, together with joystick. And only that, I also have the rudder pedal, which I can use on the joystick itself as well by twisting the joystick, but I found that the rudder pedal on the acceleration thingy is actually much better when it comes to doing more fine, precise maneuvers, which means aiming, essentially. It's much easier for me to aim my aircraft using just the pitch and the roll with the joystick, and using the rudder with the rudder pedal on the throttle. It makes it much easier for me to hit my targets in the first place, which by itself is already not that easy to do in sim mode unless they are flying pretty much perfectly straight. So I was kind of in a conundrum because I couldn't really do much. Thankfully, some of you guys have suggested something like TrackIR, for example, which is a system that essentially you put a clip on the side of your headphones or stuff like that, use a webcam, and using 3 LEDs that are positioned on the clip, and some special software, of course, the computer can recognize where the position of your head is, and with that you can essentially control the camera with your head. Well, the problem is TrackIR is extremely expensive, if you haven't checked that yet. Not only that, the build quality doesn't seem all that great either. I've checked, it seems very flimsy, especially the clips seem to break very quickly. So I've searched for some alternatives. And lo and behold, I did find one. The clip that I am now using is the Trackhead clip. I contacted the guys at Trackhead, and they were very kind in sending me a unit over. This consists of, the kit itself consists of a PSI webcam, which is one of the cheapest things you can get out there, but does the job perfectly fine. A clip that I've now glued onto the side of my Sennheiser headset, and well, that's pretty much it. The software is pretty intuitive to use, took a bit to set up, took a bit to get the sensitivity down, but now I have to say how can I explain this exactly? Actually, before we do that, let me talk a little bit about the gameplay here. So far we've been flying the Fuko 490. Didn't really realize that the islands were in enemy control. We are trying to shoot down this enemy P-47, but our teammate comes in from the left side, just in our dead spot. I didn't actually spot this guy before I, well, started firing, and we get a team kill. Keep this in mind. Towards the end of the gameplay, I'm going to show you how much that team kill cost me. Sim is extreme, to say the least. The reward you get per kill is insane, including the silver line rewards. So are the penalties, however, and of course you don't really get that many kills. I say, as I've, by attacking this PBJ, pretty much made 3 kills in the space of what, 2 minutes? That's the fastest I've gotten this many kills on flying targets in Sim before. Before this I did have a strafing run on an airfield where I downed 1 enemy that was landing and 2 that were taken off, but that doesn't really count. Stationary targets and whatnot. But going back to the clip. Well, how can I put this exactly if you haven't used a tracking system or joystick before? One of the things that I've always praised War from the 4 was that it's not just a game, it's many games in one. Each game mode could probably pass off as its own game, especially in the air. Air arcade is completely different from air realistic. And I kind of thought, well, simulator mode must just be air realistic with cockpit view and restrictive controls, right? Not quite. I found that sim mode, of course, besides being addicting, is yet again completely different from realistic mode. Of course, some of the skills that you do use in realistic mode translate somewhat into simulator mode, but honestly it's different. The combat is much closer. You have to actually pay attention and see what's going on around you. You have to look behind you, you have to try and know where the enemy is, have to identify hotspots, have to always constantly look at the map, see where the enemy might be. The battles tend to be much lower. In realistic mode you generally just start out at 5 kilometers and work your way down from there. In sim mode you generally fight at no more than 1 kilometer altitude. That's where most of the aircraft are hanging around, and as such, since sim games can get very drawn out, that's where most of the people go to, simply low altitude, because it's much easier to find a fight at low altitude than it is at high altitude. And as such, it's really a completely different set of tactics. The maneuvers you can use in realistic don't quite translate here, because there's one big difference. Of course, in realistic it's very easy to keep a track of the position of your enemy. In simulator mode this is a completely different thing, and depending on the aircraft, of course. Aircraft here, I personally judge aircraft in simulator mode by if they have trim on their ailerons and rudder. Generally all aircraft have elevator trim, but aileron and rudder trim is not available on every aircraft. And if you can actually look behind you. Because aircraft like the Fuko 490 and this J2M that we are flying right now, they have awesome rearward visibility. Aircraft like the F4U, not so much. You cannot really look behind you. Even with the track head system, even with this tracking system where I can actually move my head side to side and actually moves it around in the cockpit itself, so I can actually move closer towards the glass to look behind me. It's still, yeah, it's, oh god, F4U pilots, I'm so sorry, but your visibility is just absolutely awful. Now I have been getting slightly better at simulator mode. I haven't been playing too much, honestly. This system only arrived yesterday and I didn't really want to play too much before I got a proper tracking system, simply because it was getting kind of frustrating. Especially with me, there comes a time in games where for the first couple of hours I just am in awe. I can do absolutely awful and I'm still enjoying myself, which is what I had with simulator mode when I first started playing it out. Then I noticed the problems mainly with my just frustrations of losing my enemy, because I couldn't really see where I wanted to. The head on the throttle of the HOTAS just isn't really accurate enough to be able to look around, and it's very restrictive as well. And then I had to use the keyboard to move my position of my pilot around in the cockpit, and it was just a big mess. So whilst I could easily get behind an enemy and shoot down enemies, essentially, if they started maneuvering, I would just lose track of them and would just have entire games where I wouldn't kill anything, which is not very fun. But now that I finally have the freedom to use my head, bazinga. to look around and keep track of enemies. Dogfights like these are possible. I heard the FOU behind me, which by the way is another very important thing in Sim. Sound is very, very important. I heard this FOU behind me. I started evading immediately as soon as I heard the engine coming close. I tried to maneuver around, see if I can spot this guy in the first place. And, well, essentially just made him overshoot, and thanks to the tracking system, it was so easy to actually keep track of him. Sadly, he did manage to crash into a tree there. Apparently he was trying to imitate my feats on the streams that I usually do. Or, well, not really, more on the streams a little bit later. But, yeah, we didn't get the kill for that. And this has been pretty much my experience in sim mode so far. I'm definitely going to play more of this. How many videos I'm going to do depends entirely on what you guys want to see. I'm guessing a lot of people actually like watching sim videos, given by the response of the last video I did, but I'm going to let you guys decide. As for streams, let's just say I am going to do a stream soon. It's not going to be on Friday, because we actually have something planned on Friday. A little bit of a secret project, but it involves some other YouTubers, so keep an eye out for that. Probably not going to be today either, given that I uploaded the video, but let's just say stream soon, TM. Anyways, lads, in this engagement we are pretty much going to die. There's an P-51 that's going to creep up behind us and chop our left wing off, and we are going down. As always, lads, if you have enjoyed this video, leave it a like rating. If you are new around here, don't subscribe just yet, go back to the channel and check out other videos and see if you like my content. And that's pretty much it. As always, lads, my name is MikeGoesBoom, and thank you for watching.
You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Instead you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow